Hello students, today we are going to study the final part of pharmacoeconomics. The agenda for today's session is to take a recap of what we learned last class, to understand the method of pharmacoeconomic evaluation, as well as to understand the applications of pharmacoeconomics. We will conclude this session with assignment. So last class we learnt about different types of costs, including direct cost, indirect cost and intangible cost. We also learnt about outcomes, which include clinical, economic and humanistic. We learnt that when we link cost to consequences, what we get is a full economic evaluation. Then we learnt the different types of full economic analysis, which include cost minimization, cost effectiveness, cost benefit, cost utility and cost consequences. The steps involved in conducting a pharmacoeconomic evaluation is what we are going to understand now. So first, what is done is the research question is defined. So what we basically do is we understand why exactly we need to conduct the study. So we define the need to do the evaluation. The next step is to identify the alternative therapies that we will consider in this evaluation. So once we identify the therapeutic area in which we are going to conduct the research in step 1, we are going to identify the alternative therapies in step 2. The next step would be to measure the cost and consequences of these existing therapies. So that would be step 3. So remember, step 1 is to identify the need to do the evaluation. Once you identify this need, you will assess the existing therapies in that particular area. The next step is to identify the cost and consequences of these therapies. We will then plan a study execution template, which is nothing but the study protocol. So the fourth step would be to define the study protocol. How exactly are we going to execute the study? Now once we define our study protocol, we are going to also define the method of collection of data. Now how do you do that? For example, if we want to find out what is the direct cost, like for example the physician's fees, so in that case we need to ask the patient. So whether we will develop a questionnaire to extract this data or we will use some other technique is what needs to be explicitly defined under the term method of data collection. The next important concept is the concept of sensitivity analysis. So what exactly is this sensitivity analysis? So basically, when you do any evaluation, the outcome could depend on the variables. For example, if you're measuring clinical outcome in terms of quality of life of a patient with rheumatoid arthritis, you will observe that despite a drug that is given, the response in females will be different from the response in males. So here, the variable that is responsible for the change in response is the variable gender. So in similar way, there are different variables based on which your clinical outcome will vary. So you're going to do or assess the influence of these variables on your outcome. So that type of analysis is what you call as the sensitivity analysis. So this is what you are going to do in the next step after data collection. And finally, what you are going to do is, based on the analysis, you are going to arrive at a decision. Now this particular thing is done using a decision tree. So what exactly is a decision tree is what we are going to understand in the next slide. Now let us understand with the help of this slide how exactly do you arrive at a decision. So consider there is a patient who is in need of a treatment. You have two options for the patient, that is drug A and drug B. Now consider that you choose drug A. Now there are two possibilities after you give the patient the drug, that is he will adhere to this therapy or he may not adhere to this therapy. Consider that he adheres to this therapy, and now when you measure the outcome, you find that there are two possible outcomes. First is the condition of the patient is stable, and the second outcome is that he needs hospitalization because the condition has worsened. So now, considering the condition to be stable, you have again two options: to continue or to switch to drug B. So now consider at this particular stage, if you switch to drug B, again for drug B you have two options, that is either the patient will adhere or the patient will not adhere. If the patient adheres, again you have two options, either the condition is stable or there is worsening of the symptoms. So now based on this you will have an assessment as to when a particular patient is put on therapy with drug A or drug B, what would be the frequency of worsening of the symptoms or the level of adherence that is shown by the patient to each of the therapies. Sometimes that adherence is correlated with how good a particular drug is. For example, if the drug has less adverse effects, then in that case there will be more adherence. So on the basis of these factors, basically you decide whether you have to proceed with the therapy or whether you have to discontinue with the therapy. This kind of evaluations are subjective in nature. Let us now understand the applications of pharmacoeconomics. So pharmacoeconomics helps in making clinical and policy decisions. For example, if you have to decide which of the two drugs are better, then in that case a pharmacoeconomic evaluation can help you. It also supports clinical decisions from the level of a patient to the level of the entire healthcare system. So for example, a particular decision has been taken to continue with a particular therapy. Based on pharmacoeconomic evaluation, you can justify whether choosing that therapy is appropriate or not. It helps to assess the value of a new agent. So for a new drug, the benefit that you are getting, whether the cost of that drug is commensurate with that benefit or not. So that assessment is possible with pharmacoeconomics. Next is whenever you have to take any policy decision about any particular therapy, whenever you have to lay down new treatment guidelines, especially at the national level, when the government comes up with some treatment guidelines, they take the pharmacoeconomic aspects into consideration because the treatment has to be beneficial, at the same time it has to be cost effective. The pharmacoeconomic evaluation also helps in developing the price of a particular pharmaceutical product. So based on this assessment, you can decide what is the price that you need to fix on a pharmaceutical product, because at one end you want to sell the product and at the other end you also want to give it at a lower price so that the common people can have access to it. So pricing is one important component which is helped by this particular evaluation. Also, you can take a decision on reimbursement, specifically in case of adverse events. Based on the level of adverse event or economic loss that the patient is suffering because of treatment of adverse event, some decision can be taken on the reimbursement that need to be given to the patients. Now, as we come to the end of the chapter of pharmacoeconomics, I request you to go through slide number 9 and 10, wherein two assignments are given. After you read them thoroughly, you're just supposed to predict what type of pharmacoeconomic evaluation is required for the two cases. Whatever is your answer, you're expected to submit it through a Google link. The link address is given on slide number 11. Please complete the assignments and submit it.